And welcome back to Focal Point AFR Talk. Just to close the loop on the conversation from the last caller about praying for Barack Obama, even though virtually every single one of his policies is out of alignment with the will and the Word of God. And this was the job of prophets, remember. Now, the authority that Barack Obama has is authority that he got from God. Political authority comes from God. That's the only place it comes. He's operating with delegated power. That's what Paul says in Romans 13. A display of political power, every government institution, every ounce of political power is delegated authority. It comes from God. And the issue then becomes, okay, this is authority that's come from God. Is this political figure using the authority that he has received from God to do that which is good in the sight of the Lord or do that which is evil in the sight of the Lord? That was the only criterion that the Old Testament prophets used. Was he using the authority that God had given him? It's God's authority, no other place to get it. It's God's authority. Is he using it to do things which are right in the sight of God, or is he using it to do that which is evil in the sight of God? Now you look at Adolf Hitler, for instance. I'm sure there were people praying for him to receive God's wisdom, for him to act on God's wisdom, for him to show respect for human life. And the way God answered that prayer is by taking him out because he wouldn't listen. I'm convinced the fact that the Nazi Germany fell, collapsed, Hitler died, the Nazis were put on trial at Nuremberg. The reason all of that happened was in response to the prayers of God people, many of them praying for the right thing to be done. And God said, okay, I'm going to respond to their prayers. I'm going to do everything that is in my power to see that Adolf Hitler does the right thing. But he has to exercise his own free will. I'm going to respect his freedom of choice. I'm going to persuade him. I am going to speak truth to him. I'm going to bring people into his life to speak truth to him. I'm going to give him opportunity to face up to the truth, just like God is doing with Barack Obama. He did that with Ben Carson at the prayer breakfast. I mean, that was a man speaking truth to power. There's an opportunity for Barack Obama to hear the truth and do something with it. So God says, look, that's an answer to prayer. You know, what Ben Carson said to Barack Obama was an answer to the prayers that we have been praying for President Obama right along. There was an opportunity. God says, okay, they've been praying that I would get the wisdom of God into Barack Obama's brain, and so I'm going to raise up Ben Carson to go to this prayer breakfast and speak the truth to Barack Obama. Did it do any good? No. Is God paying attention? Absolutely yes. So he's giving Barack Obama opportunity after opportunity to hear and respond to the truth. And trust me, the day could come when God says, I have given him enough chances. That's all the chances that he's going to get. It's time to bring about some kind of a change. Now, I'm not saying he's going to do that. May not happen till 2016, till the election, when he is simply replaced and another leader is put in his place. That may be how God answers those prayers, by bringing about a change through the political system. But God hears those prayers and he responds to them, and that's why we are to keep praying those prayers. And God's way of answering those prayers may be different than we anticipate, or different than the way we have drawn it up in our own minds. Let's go to Steve, Kennedy, Texas. Steve, welcome to Focal Point with Brian Fisher. What's on your mind?
Yes, sir. I was going to tell you about something that happened at A&M that I'm not hearing a whole lot about.
Yes, sir.
Is they had a Bible study, and it was called Breakaway Ministries. You can find that on YouTube at A&M. They had a Bible study, which 25 years ago, this Bible study was just in some dorm somewhere. But this last Bible study, they had 10,000 students at Reed Arena. And all these kids, that's 1/5 of the population of that college there.
Wow.
And, I haven't heard, local media or anything hadn't said anything about it. If it would have been a Wolfman concert or something, they probably would have said there was 3 there,
Yeah.
But anyway, that's our future government, and, those kids are going to be in all of these things that we talk about within the next year or two. It's not like we have 10 years to wait on them.
Yeah. That's the next generation of leaders being raised up right there. Well, that is great news. I hadn't heard about that, didn't know about that, but that's terrific news. So.
Yeah, I think so, and I think that, we really need to help these kids out. It's sort of like revival happening at colleges, and we need to really tell everybody about what's going on. And
when there's good stuff like that going on, we definitely want to hear about it. So thank you for that. Could be evidence of some kind of a spiritual outbreak, spiritual awakening at the University of Texas A&M. Well, thank you for that call. I appreciate that. Let's go to Katrina, Mansfield, Ohio. Number to call, by the way, 888-589-8840. 888-589-8840. Katrina, Mansfield, Ohio. What's on your mind?
Hi, Brian. Thanks for taking my call.
Yeah, you bet.
I'm a stay-at-home mom, and my 9-month-old son and I just love listening to your show. But I sponsor a child through World Vision, and on Wednesday you listed them among the evangelical organizations that are supporting amnesty for the illegal aliens.
Well, their CEO or president, I think it's CEO is his title. He signed this statement, this pro-amnesty statement.
Okay. Well, I emailed them and I expressed my concern to them, and I said, they should know better than any organization how lawlessness, it just leads to corruption, injustice, political instability, and economic debilitation. They minister in countries where the law is just broken, and there's so much corruption going on. But I received a form letter back, and they mentioned that they understood that they had been talked about in a radio program. I'm assuming they might have met Focal Point. And they cited to me that children are their priority no matter where they are. They reminded me that Jesus commanded us to love our neighbor as ourselves, et cetera, that we need to demonstrate compassion to the stranger in the land. And they didn't have any apology or anything. They just encouraged me to visit the Evangelical Immigration Table's website.
Wow, so they're sticking with it. They're pro-amnesty. And, basically what they're saying is if you are not for amnesty, then you don't care about people. I mean, that's the equation they're drawing. And we need to remember that Jesus upheld the rule of law. He was compassionate. I mean, you think about the woman that came to him that was caught in adultery. She's brought to Christ, and all anybody ever quotes from that exchange is when Jesus said to her, "Neither do I condemn you." And all great, wonderful, compassion, forgiveness. Well, of course that's true. Jesus said it, and it's a great story, and it's a great truth. There's forgiveness, there's renewal, there's restoration, and all that. But then the last thing that Jesus said to her, the parting words, the words that were left ringing in her ear as that conversation ended was, "Go and leave your life of sin. Go and sin no more." So if Christ was dealing with an illegal immigrant, he said, "Look, you got to obey the law. I don't condemn you for looking for a better life, but you need to obey the law. You need to go back to your native country. You need to go back where you came from. You are breaking the law." So compassion, part of compassion is urging people to obey the law, urging people to follow the rule of law. Having compassion for people does not mean we indulge criminal behavior. That's essentially what I think these people on the Evangelical Immigration Table are saying, is unless you are willing to embrace criminal behavior, you're not loving people. Well, I don't see anywhere in the scriptures where love requires us to embrace, tolerate, encourage, support, and sanction illegal and criminal behavior. And yet it seems to me that that's what the Evangelical Immigration Table is asking us to do. Well, it is interesting, Katrina, that apparently the conversation we had here on Focal Point, I don't know if there's another radio program that dealt with the issue. I don't know. But it's interesting that news of that had migrated to their headquarters, apparently.
Yeah, they've obviously received more emails than mine.
Yeah, that would certainly be the indication there. Well, and they're digging in their heels. I mean, and we've supported World Vision in the past. We're not right now, but we love their work, and they're doing great stuff. But on this issue, they're just plain flat wrong. All right, Katrina, well, thank you for that update. Appreciate that. Let's go to John in Lottie, Florida. John, welcome. You're on Focal Point. What's on your mind?
I thank Jesus for you having me on, and I wanted to talk about something really, really important, and that is money.
All right.
The other night on Late Night Talk Show, they was talking about, they had a banker on the show, and he was telling how Bernanke created a housing bubble. He let the housing bubble go because when it seen that the banks were going to collapse, then he knew the government would come in and give all kinds of money to the bankers.
Yeah.
And that's not the first time it happened. But if you don't believe me, you can. It was on the public radio station. They have tapes. You can buy the tapes and all.
Yeah, well, and that's a good point, and that's exactly what happened. It was just kind of crony capitalism. It was kind of a bailout. The idea was these banks are too big to fail. We can't let them fail, so we've got to take more money out of the wallets of taxpayers and stuff it in the accounts of these banks so that they don't fail. Well, nothing is too big to fail. I mean, part of capitalism, and see, here's the problem, because banks learn from this. I mean, what's the lesson that a bank learns? We can make very poor financial decisions with our investors' money. We can squander it. We can waste it. We can misspend it. And the whole thing can begin to fall apart. And what happens? We don't have to pay a price for that because our government will go and rob its own citizens to give us the money that we've squandered and wasted down a rat hole. That's called moral hazard. So if government and business knows that they can mismanage their money, and if the worst things that happens, our government thinks they're too big to fail, so they're going to rob their own citizens to give us money, then what's their incentive to straighten up and fly right? I submit that there is none. There is nothing, no organization, no bank, no business that is too big to fail. They mismanage money. They should be required to bear the consequences of their own folly. And people will learn to start making better investments. Focal Point, AFR Talk, back after the news.
America.